Hey everybody, welcome. So happy to see you. I'm Wes. I'm the lead pastor of Churchome. We're really excited to talk about our internship program.
Wait, you're the lead pastor?
You're an intern. I'm going to be interviewing you today, and I'm just so excited to talk about the ways that we're developing young leaders.
That's not true. This is the beginning of our podcast, Boys Gone Bibles.
We're your favorite boys.
Open your favorite book.
So dumb. Okay. So here's the truth.
The Girls Gone Bible.
I love Angela. I love Ari. You've been on their show. I got to have a conversation with them in Los Angeles. But the reason we're here today is we're going to be talking about the messages we're sharing in the month of May. They're all around the subject of miracles. And Judah, I'm excited about this.
Miracles or miracles?
I say miracles, but
that's how my aunt says it, and my uncle. So they're straight, and we're all from the same part of the world. But miracles sounds a little more miraculous.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
But I'm going to adjust.
Okay.
The whole month of May is dedicated to the subject of miracles. Okay. And maybe that word might even be like slightly triggering, slightly annoying. You might be like, really, miracles? But I want to hear from you, Judah. This came kind of across a text message that you sent me. I want to talk about miracles in May. Where did that come from?
Well, to be honest, first of all, the seasons here in the U.S., May is April showers brings May flowers, and the miracle of nature is pretty remarkable, and the evidence seen in the blossoming of flowers, that sort of thing. And you can tell I'm getting older and I'm watching more birds and flowers. But I thought, man, May really springs kind of a new sense of hope, belief. Summer's coming, the sun's coming. Growing up in the Northwest, you endure rain for months and months on end. So I was kind of thinking on that. And then I started to think about the monumental miracles that really changed my life, but particularly changed Chelsea and I when we were newly married. In 25 years now. I know you weren't even born when we got married, essentially. But we had a crazy miracle. And we actually share. We do 4 messages this month on 4 different miracles that Jesus does in his life and ministry. And I was reminded, honestly, it is a crazy story, and I need to share a miracle.
Oh, I love this story. I love this story. Yeah.
I almost died 3 times before I was the age of 3 years old, by the way, or 2 years old. But that's a whole nother miracle. Chelsea and I were newly married. I think it was our 2nd year of marriage. And the truth is, it's so embarrassing. We didn't know that people are supposed to plan for tax season.
Totally.
Like you set apart money. We were just like, this is amazing. And all of a sudden, Uncle Sam came knocking. And we owed a very specific number in the thousands of dollars. And in the year 2000, we didn't have an excess of thousands of dollars. It might as well have been millions of dollars. I didn't have it. And I asked, so what are we going to do? She's like, I don't know. What are we going to do? And we're like, I don't know. Thinking maybe calling her parents or my parents, hey, can we borrow some money to pay our taxes, which is not really the right thing to do. And a few days later, as God is my witness, he's doing that. A check came in the mail from a friend from Oklahoma that I had never met in person. And the check, I kid you not, Wes, was to the exact dollar, might have even been cents amount of the tax bill. And I finally got a hold of this pastor who knew my dad, but didn't know me. And I hadn't even told my dad yet that we owed these taxes. So no one knew. I said, how is it that you sent me this check? Back then you could send checks in the mail anyway. And he said, God told me to. And it was a moment, Chelsea and I cried. And we're like, oh my word, this is amazing. But it was kind of a moment that I think set in motion our marriage and believing that God can do miracles. And so, hey, look, some of you are hoping like, well, I hope I get checks in the mail. There are many different varied ways God does miracles in our life. And I'm believing that in the month of May, we're going to see the miraculous at work. So I'm excited to share these messages. You've heard them already.
I have, and I actually really enjoyed them. I think they're going to really encourage you wherever you might find yourself. Final question I have real quick is if someone's watching this, they say, you know what, Judah, Wes, I believed for so long for something and it hasn't happened. There's a place in my life, a space in my life where I've asked God to show up and it just quite literally hasn't happened. How could you encourage them real quick to take a look at this message?
Well, I think first of all, hope deferred makes the heart sick. And so I think that there is sickness in our soul. And I think to a certain extent, I know your story, you know my story. There is pain points even right now as you and I are talking that kind of trigger us when people walk up and be like, hey, you need to believe God first. And it's like, oh, all right, I have. And I would simply say this, and what I'm about to describe is a bit of a phenomenon, so bear with me. But if suddenly by watching this, you get the inkling, the inspiration, you suddenly have the thought, I should believe for that again, then I think you should. I think there are some things we just know, hey, if God's going to do it, I'm going to trust him with that.
Yeah.
And then there are other chapters and moments and seasons in our life where for whatever reason, we suddenly feel inspired again to believe that God can do that very specific miracle. And if you don't feel that about that thing that you've given to God, so many different things I could name.
Yeah.
Then trust God with that and leave that. But if you feel inspired again to believe for something you believed for 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, I would say, why not? I have experienced hope deferred. And I do believe that we risk that every time we believe. But if you feel inspired to do so, let's do it together.
Let's do it together.
And if something doesn't happen in May, we'll trust God with that. But what if something does? In fact, I've already heard from a few people in my life, some pretty miraculous things are happening. So I'm excited. I'm excited to risk believing again.
I love that. I love that. All 4 weeks, we have a new service every single week. And I think it's going to encourage you. I hope it helps you. And again, lead pastor of Churchome here, Wes, is a great intern named Judah. Excited to be with you guys. We'll see you.